So I'm here to talk to you about decentralized web technologies. As John said, my name is Willis Browning, and I guess let's get started here. So decentralized web technologies. So about us. So we started this business in 2020, so March 2020. So we've seen a lot the last 3 years, but it was a group of US Navy veterans, me included, specialized in cryptological operations. And really our focus was a decentralized internet more than anything else. So the CEO and so my co-founder, he basically reached out to me when we were both getting out of the Navy around the same time. And he more or less said, because he works with, when he was in the Navy, he worked in the intelligence community, and he was working with the FBI, the NSA, the CIA, like all of these, the alphabet agencies. And he came to me and was like, look, the existing internet, incredibly flawed, antiquated. If we want to see a good future, like we really want to see a new internet, a Web3, a D-Web. And we saw a Forbes article talking about Helium, which was a internet protocol for that was on the blockchain. And he and I, we've known each other since we were in high school, and we've been enthusiasts of cryptocurrency and blockchain, the blockchain technology specifically. And we've been involved with that since 2015, 2017, something like that. We've dipped our toes in, understood it. So that was kind of what started everything. So really our vision here is we're leading the way in deploying decentralized infrastructure, ultimately to see a new internet, Web3, aka the D-Web. Now, over the last couple of years, acronyms have changed, and we've seen new things. So one of the newest acronyms that's come out is TIPIN, Token Incentivized Physical Infrastructure Networks. So that's kind of where our focus is as a whole. Now, we started with Helium, which, if anybody is familiar with that project, they've got a lot of issues, they accomplished a lot, but it's questionable, I don't want to say too much there, but when we were assessing everything, we took a look at Filecoin early on back in 2021, and we said, okay, if we want to see a new internet, what is a necessary component of that to exist? And we did some market research, some analysis, and it was obvious to us that Filecoin had it had the largest ICO, it had a lot of backing, it had a lot of support, had the best team, Protocol Labs is fantastic. So we were looking at what was happening, the trajectory with Helium and the DY infrastructure space in general, and we were like, all right, our guiding star is Web3, we want to see a new internet. Let's move into Filecoin. It seems rock solid. For a new internet to function, we're going to need a decentralized cloud storage protocol, and we felt very comfortable with them. So with that being said, we spun up our, we reinvested our earnings from Helium, and we hired on our CTO, and we spun up a Filecoin rig back towards the end of 2021, early 2022. So we've been running a small-scale Filecoin rig for over a year now. That said, if you guys have been here the whole week, you understand that Filecoin, it really starts generating revenue once it scales, when you have a lot of storage. So although we moved into the Filecoin ecosystem, our intent was, let's become subject matter experts on this, understand this, but the reality was we're a small business in San Antonio, Texas. We're service-disabled, veteran-owned business and whatnot, but there's not a ton of tech investors, and this is our first startup. So our initial company was founded off of an $80,000 seed investment from friends and family and one retired Navy intelligence officer. And then from there, we've ran the company using, my savings, Robert's savings, like at the initial start of everything. And we've kept this thing going for the last 3 years. And so over those 3 years, in this bullet point here, it talks about decentralized wireless, decentralized cloud storage, validator governance. So we got the Filecoin rig started up, and we maintained relationships with a lot of other Tippin projects and kind of kept our eyes on things like Dymo, HiveMapper. Like, I'm sure if you've seen some of the presentations here, they've got examples of I know that when I was here in the last cohort, there was a presentation of a lot of different blockchain companies that are doing stuff in physical infrastructure. So we've got a pretty good relationship with a lot of different companies, and that's what we've been trying to do. Now with our Filecoin operation, we were very lucky to get accepted into the accelerator, and then we're running 1 petabyte of storage with the ESPA at their Switch data center. And with that, we get pretty decent month-over-month revenue with that. But how we were able to get the Filecoin collateral to actually run on the ESPA rig is we partnered with another business, but they were Filecoin investors largely. They had the same assessment as we did. Solid project, great team, future of storage. So they invested a lot in Filecoin, and they basically didn't have the time to set up a data center, nor did they have the expertise to do so. So we connected at an event, and basically they are in the data extraction business. So they're accumulating data. So for us, right now, instead of a go-to-market, like a lot of the storage providers, their goal is to get sales and get data into their data center. Our focus is we're in the process of building this 5 petabyte data center, and then we're doing R&D and work with this other business that's doing data aggregation and accumulating a lot of data. And there's already a data brokerage market for that, so we're working with them associated with that. And then the goal is to take that data, store it on Filecoin, and then present that to companies for AI, machine learning, things like that. And their biggest competitor is something like Scale.com, and we're working with them there. But then on top of that, with our relationship with other protocols, we run validator services to secure different blockchain protocols. And so we're storing snapshots of blockchains on our Filecoin ecosystem, so people that run validator services are able to restore from these snapshots. And really our goal as a company is to have a data center stood up, generate all of our own data, store it, and figure out how to provide that data and monetize it. Now, so that kind of talks about research and development in general. And then we also do education and consulting, where we've been doing this for a while. We have a couple of grants and contracts with people where we do educational material for different projects and things like that and get paid for it. And then we'll do consulting work with larger entities that struggle navigating the complexities of all of this. So this is a slide that talks about Web 2, like why do we need a new internet? I'm not going to read off the slides here, but really, at the end of the day, our guiding star wanting to see a new internet is, when he came to me, or when our CEO came to me and presented the idea, he pretty much said, look, there's a ton of security flaws. We need to really work on this. And that's what this slide represents. It's entities that own the server, sets the terms for access to it. Large companies have monopolized this stuff. There's single points of failures. There's a ton of security flaws. with the decentralized internet, Web3, information is distributed. Now, the thing about it is so this is actually part of the problem here is when you look on Wikipedia, right, and you look up Web3 or DWeb or something like that, it's going to say something along the lines of like a nebulous term that's not fully understood as to what Web3 is, because the reality is we don't have Web3 or DWeb right now. We have a lot of contingent parts that are kind of siloed. Now, I can tell you that there's a ton of really amazing people and projects that are working on individual parts of the internet as a whole that will work together, and seeing the development of Filecoin and how it's able, like Filecoin virtual machine, all these things, it's great to see the rapid development of all this stuff. And ultimately, we want to help parse through this and bridge communities and hopefully add to that with R&D in general. So, company overview, what do we do? So, we support blockchain systems with proven use cases that provide economic value. So I'm not going to read through the slide, but really I'll kind of go through what it is that we've been doing. Right now, Filecoin is our main focus because we feel as though it is extremely solid. It is, a great team. I can't talk positively enough about how we feel the Filecoin ecosystem is going to go. We started with Helium, set up some LoRaWAN equipment and things like that. We've spoke with Pollen, so we're getting into the 5G game in that regards. So 5G, DY, telecommunications, stuff like that. We've got some of that stuff stood up. And then we've got the validator services. Now, pretty much where things are with this is let's see here, what's the next one? Well, we'll get on back to that. So what we've been doing for the last year has been solidifying this relationship for the data extraction and figuring out how we're going to get the funding to set up this 5 petabyte data center. So we're working with this business. We're going to set that data center up. We have our storefront here in San Antonio, Texas, that has a Bitcoin ATM, our small Filecoin rig. We've got some Helium equipment, a bunch of Raspberry Pis, and then other tip-in projects. So like I had mentioned before, like WeatherXM, things like that. Now, we're focused on getting the data center stood up, getting the data rolling into that, figuring out how to provide that to the machine learning, AI, and grow that ecosystem, while also providing education and support to parse through like this future that's coming. So we're working with the Adult Education Center in San Antonio, talking with UTSA and the city, and we're really trying to be a resource to where people that don't understand the difference between blockchain and a cryptocurrency can come in and they can see, okay, so this is a token incentivized physical infrastructure network, and we can demystify a lot of this stuff. All the while, these projects that we're working with, we're feeding that data back into Filecoin, which is our core foundation there, and looking to work with projects that will ultimately manifest a new internet. So these are just the market opportunities here. I'm sure you've probably seen some of these. These compound annual growth rates for the blockchain industry as a whole. Then there's the cloud storage market. These are huge markets, the data extraction market and the telecommunications market as a whole. We're trying to stay focused in general because some critiques we've had in the past are, oh, you guys are doing too much. Oh, like there's no possible way that you can do all these things. And, fair critique, I suppose, but the reality is what it is that we're doing is we're blockchain experts with a focus on seeing a new internet. And if there's not somebody that, it's great that all of these different projects are building and doing these things, but there has to be, entities that help bridge these communities, bridge these ecosystems. And they're kind of happening naturally, but our focus is to just really grow these things, demystify them, help the actual decentralization of these things. Because yeah, there's decentralized infrastructure products, but why would somebody set these things up if they don't understand it? So that's kind of where we come in to try and explain these things. So this is kind of just like what we're doing here. So we've got like our e-commerce platform. So we've got our store. It's got, you know, a couple of like different products. Honestly, we haven't. So actually, this is the old presentation. Okay, so my apologies, but then we also do web mining. So we have a couple of different like smaller miners. So we've got some Bitcoin miners, some Litecoin miners, and then we've got our Filecoin rig, and you know, some of our Helium ecosystem, our 5G ecosystem, and then we're working on getting some other things for our stack overall for installation. So all of that is maintained by our CTO, and it's there. So then we've got some media, and you know, we're working on that in regards to engagement with these different other ecosystems and projects, and we basically there's in the open source like blockchain community, there's a ton of grants and a ton of a ton of opportunities in that regard. So what we tend to do is we engage with projects, get them to send us equipment that we review and engage with to see, is this going to be something that actually is going to manifest into something that's worthwhile? And then we tend to either, you know, we're able to kind of parse through in that regards. And then we've got our R&D in general, where we've got a couple of contracts with people where we're doing R&D to help actually like move these things along. Now, so this is just a graphic, but like really, I don't want to focus too much on branding here. Like we're just trying to build this stuff and just, you know, we're dedicated to seeing this new internet and just, you know, support all of the infrastructure that's in place here. But, you know, with this here, what it's kind of talking about is we'll talk with the project, we'll do some work for them, or we'll highlight some stuff, and then they'll either, if it's a project that we feel is actually worthwhile, they will delegate tokens to our validator, and then we get an APY on that, and then we also participate in governance within that ecosystem. So we are participating in governance on a couple of different chains right now, and we're looking to expand that. But so we're kind of directly involved with seeing in the governance chats and where these projects are going. So we kind of have a say in that. But overall, we'll work with them, get a delegation, stake those, get the APY, you know, be interested in the project, and then we're able to use, we'll have our SOC 2 compliant data center that sets up our 5 petabyte data center, where we'll also run servers for the validators and things like that. And then we're looking to expand out our relationships with different projects and ultimately do things like store snapshots of different that's one of the services we do. We store snapshots of different blockchains on our Filecoin ecosystem so that people can restore from the snapshot. And really, what our goal is to generate as much data, store that data, provide it to machine learning AI, and just keep a finger on the pulse of the entire industry and see where these things are going. Now, so why us? You know, this is the DWeb team. So Robert Talt, CEO and founder. So he was in financial intelligence and signals intelligence, worked with, you know, cybersecurity, counter narcotics. He worked, like, again, the NSA, FBI, things like that. So he's got a great background. We've got a lot of connections with people. He taught a little bit of blockchain during the the financial intelligence. So he actually did teach some courses on blockchain to, I forget which alphabet company it was. But then there's me. So we've been running this business, again, on an $80,000 seed investment for the last 3 years, and I've been involved in cryptocurrency since 2015, 2017. Just very passionate about the industry as a whole. And so then there's Michael Call. He was our initial seed investor. He invested $50,000, and then we raised other money from friends, family, and then used our savings from getting out of the military. So Michael Marakis, he's our CTO. We brought him in once we started the Filecoin ecosystem, because it's an incredibly demanding and taxing project. It has a lot of it's very, very multidisciplinary Filecoin, I'd say. But we brought him in. He was our senior Linux administrator. He's been very passionate in cryptocurrency and blockchain, and he's really proved his merits and done a lot of really great stuff. Kim Briggs, our chief marketing officer, and then Joe Edwards. She's been with us from the beginning. She actually did her, I think it was her graduating PhD thing on blockchain and things like that. But Robert knew Joe from working for a previous cryptocurrency company called Energy. She was their marketing officer there, and we brought her on as chief creative officer and has been helping us build things out with that. So in conclusion, what we're trying to do here in general is we're trying to raise capital in general. With this, we're opening around. We'd like to raise $1 million, and we want to do that with working capital and growth capital. And then additionally, we've been doing this for the last 3 years, kind of very bootstrapped in general, and we've had a lot of interest, but we'd love to bring on any advisors, anybody that has advice, connections, experience. We're a small team, but we feel very confident with the stuff that we're working on and the roadmap that we've got going on, and we're going to do it no matter what because we're passionate about this stuff. So any advisors, any help. And then we're also, looking to hire some people. Really, with that, there's a lot of different roles. It's still a small company and whatnot, and we'd love to have the advisors to help us with all of that. But so that's kind of what it is that we're looking to do here, and what it is that we've done for the last 3 years. And then, the internet will be decentralized. That's the goal. Thank you. And again, my name is Willis Browning. If you guys have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer everything. That's our Twitter, that's my phone number, and then that's our website. But yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions.